When it comes to concrete, we've got you covered. RowPaint.com offers custom concrete coating services for your garage, business, warehouse, and more. And we do it in one day. We are your complete concrete coatings solution.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Now, here's four-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Well, we are back. Day 2, Mountain West Media Days here in Las Vegas. Bronco Nation News continuing our live coverage down here at the Mandalay Bay. BJ Rains and Jay Tust with you as we kick off Day 2. And Jay, when I was setting up the broadcast, originally folks thought we were going to be at 9. So they were wondering where we were. They were already commenting on YouTube before we were even live. And one of the comments was that I must have had a hard time pulling you away from the tables. So did you get an early morning at the table?
No, I just almost got kicked out of our hotel room. No further context.
Jay Tust getting kicked out of his hotel room in Vegas. There has to be a backstory there somewhere.
Once upon a time, there probably would have been. Here, it was just maybe an accidental wrong checkout date. But we're good to go. So we got the hotel room tonight, which means we can stay and cover this thing another day.
People are saying my mic might be off, Colin. Are we good? No, we should be good. It's another morning where we're dealing with audio stuff here. The mic's coming. It's hooked up to here, Colin, so it should be correct. Is it any better, folks? Let us know. We're dealing with a live situation here. I thought we had the mics figured out. Never mind. Somebody said he lied, so I guess we're okay. Yeah, we do have we're come on now.
You can't do that.
Yesterday,
maybe next year you can, but you can't do that first go around because we actually believe it.
And especially yesterday, when we had 4 minutes without a mic with Jeremiah Dickey. But you know what? I knew it couldn't get any worse from that, and it didn't. The day ended up improving. We're going to hear some sound from Coach Avalos, from Commissioner Thompson. But what were your kind of takeaways from yesterday, Jay?
I think the takeaways from yesterday, everybody kind of wanted to know about conference realignment. I don't know if there was necessarily kind of the juicy details that anybody was really hoping for. I think that my perception of realignment has kind of changed over the last couple of weeks. I think that their initial reaction when two teams leave a conference and join another conference is that conference has to backfill, which means the conference they backfill from has to backfill. But I just don't know if that's the case. You have to bring monetary value to the league if you're going to be added to the league. And I don't know if there's just obvious choices out there, either for the Pac-12, the Big 12, or the Mountain West right now. So it just seems like everybody's kind of at a standstill until we find out what Notre Dame does. And that could be a while. It could be a while.
I want to play a clip from Commissioner Thompson before we go any further, because I thought this was kind of funny. I was asking him about just his job, and he's the longest tenured commissioner in the entire FBS. Yeah. And, basically was asking him just about, you got some fan bases that love you, some that hate you. Yeah. You've been here for all this time, and just talking about that. And this was a funny response from Commissioner Thompson.
Well, it is interesting, and it's fun because I had the opportunity to go to the Masters this year, and we were in a hospitality situation, and the guy was actually going to Boise. He lived in Atlanta and ran a business. And he said, well, I'll tell everybody I know you. And I go, don't tell anybody you know me in Boise. It might not be your best move. And I say that reflectively because you hit right on it. Every decision is not mine collectively, individually, or personally, but people want to say, well, he favors so-and-so. And, we're always playing that advantage-disadvantage game. I just try to be fair to everybody because I work for 12.
Well, and what do you make of Commissioner Thompson? Because I know some folks in Boise aren't huge fans of his, and he has had a interesting relationship with Boise State where they tried to sue the conference at one point over the money, and they left and then came back, and now they get this sweet deal that, every other athletic director and president doesn't like that Commissioner Thompson gave that deal to Boise State, so he's hearing it from both sides.
Yeah, it's I feel like it's kind of interesting, the reaction that we often get from Commissioner Thompson when we put stuff out there, because sometimes I don't see why it happens. Like yesterday, for example, he said that, when it comes to expansion, we don't have to do anything, right? And fans interpreted that as the Mountain West isn't doing anything, but that's clearly not the case. Like, the Mountain West is clearly efforting. They're trying. They're evaluating. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, when it comes to potential expansion, BJ, you have to make the decision. Do you need to expand and add numbers because that's what helps you survive? Or do you need to expand and add TV revenue because that's what helps you the longevity, the long-term stability of your conference? So that's what I feel when it comes to realignment is going to ultimately win out at the end of the day. You can't add teams just to add numbers. I don't think it's necessarily always a numbers and strength, and you can't compare it to what the Big Ten and the SEC is doing because the programs they're adding are adding hundreds of millions of dollars to their projected TV revenue deal. So, yeah, I just thought it was funny yesterday when I tweeted that out. Commissioner Thompson said they don't have to do anything, and fans reacted to that kind of negatively. It doesn't mean they're not doing anything, though. They're certainly working hard behind the scenes.
Yeah, well, if you got some questions or comments, we got a little bit of time here at Media Days. We got a couple clips we're going to hear from Andy Avalos. But again, if you do have a comment or a question, we'd be happy to hear it. Of course, want to thank a couple of our great sponsors as well: United Commercial Insurance, Boise Dentistry Co., Ridley's Family Markets. Appreciate all of our sponsors for helping us get down here. And Andy Avalos came out with a little bit of news. And I guess, first of all, we should get to the news of today. Jay, we do have the All Mountain West preseason team is out, and 4 players make the list for Boise State. I think it was probably about what we expected.
Exactly what we expected.
J.L. Skinner and Scott Matlock get on for the defense, John Ojukwu on offense, and Jonah Dalmas on special teams.
The only snub I would say that, I think is a snub is that Jonah Dalmas should have been the special teams player of the year. The preseason special teams player of the year. That went to Bird, a kick returner and punt returner from San Diego State. But Jonah led the freaking country in field goals made last year, 26 of 28, along with 47. He was as automatic as can be. And I was looking this up too, like, opponents only made 21 field goals against 15 field goals against Boise State. So, that's quite the competitive advantage that you have in Jonah Dalmas's leg. I felt like he should have been the preseason special teams player of the year in the league, but hey, kickers sometimes get overlooked. This is one of those scenarios.
Anybody else that could have made a case, you think?
I would say that Steph Cobb.
George Helani potentially.
Well, hey, I actually did put George Helani.
I think I did too.
You named 2 running backs. I put George Helani on there. It might seem biased, but here's the deal. We have knowledge of George Helani that maybe other media members don't have. We know. I asked Andy Avalos this question yesterday. Can George Helani be the best player and the offensive player in the Mountain West if he stays healthy? I think the answer to that is absolutely. I really do think he can be. But if you want to argue him, you could. But his workload last year was just too small, I think, for maybe other media members to pour a lot of stock into last season. But also Steph Cobbs, he would have an interesting argument. And the only reason why I'll say that, sure, only 34 catches last season, only. He dealt with some injuries last year, but Boise State's leading wide receiver, their go-to wide receiver, is almost a lock to get at least 60 catches. And if you get 60 catches in this conference, you're going to be in position to be either a first or second teamer of the awards that really matter at the end of the year, the ones you want to put on your resume.
Yeah, and we'll continue to see the watch list come out and all that stuff moving forward. We did get some news yesterday I wanted to touch on as well. I guess quickly, just we'll say that we found out Dylan Herberg is no longer on the roster. He was suspended in January, and then we didn't see him in the spring ball, and Andy Avalos did confirm that he's off the roster. We asked a follow-up question about Jacob Golden, who also had an arrest, and he said that the roster will come out on the first day of practice, not wanting to divulge too much. But we'll get a depth chart on the first day of practice as well, or early on in camp, and it does sound like, Jay, that there's some position changes as well.
Yeah.
Let's hear from Andy Avalos first about Isaiah Banya. Isaiah Banya moving from the edge position to the will linebacker spot. Here's Coach Avalos yesterday.
You mentioned moving Banya to linebacker. What's kind of the thought process behind that?
You know what, we like the depth we have at edge, and the position he played last year and the versatility within our fronts, he actually stood up and played a little bit in there. Obviously there's a lot more that goes to it. We have a lot of young talent at linebacker, but getting a guy like him that has real game experience, maybe not at that position, an opportunity to compete, and he's pretty excited about it. We've been working on it behind the scenes throughout the course of this offseason.
If you can play weak side?
Will.
So how different is this responsibility?
Weak side. What are we talking about? You saw the whole setup in the scheme. We don't call it weak side. That's the will on it. You're failing the test over down there. Yes, the boundary side.
So how different or similar are his responsibilities in those two?
Well, we interchange those guys quite a bit, within our schemes anyway. So he has experience, playing in somewhat of a role in that position.
Well, you hear it there, Jay. Coach Avalos talking about, hey, it's going to be the similar thing when we get to safety. You want to get your best players on the field, but certainly trying to replace Riley Wimpy. Nothing against Hawkins or Schramm or the other guys they've got. to know a lot of people like Deshaun Misa coming in as a true freshman, but from what they saw in spring ball, they thought maybe moving Banya back, and they talked about the depth they have at the edge position, which obviously took a hit when Shane Irwin had to medically retire, but they still feel good enough at edge. You mentioned George Tarlas. You mentioned the other gentleman from Snow College that I'm Cortez Hogans. Thank you, Colin, off camera. And then, Dimitri Washington can play both sides as well. So I think they feel like they have the depth there. And now you put Banya, who has played in some games, maybe has more experience than a Hawkins or a Schramm, even though it's not at the same spot. They're going to give it a shot.
Yeah. I think that this means that Dimitri Washington is finally fully healthy, because it sounds like he's going to roll into this season as their starting edge. It also might say that, Devin Wright's coming along a little bit, who's a new kid that they have a lot of hope and belief in. Might be just I don't want to say raw, but just a little inexperienced, just because he's young, right? His body, he's going to need a little time in the weight room to get to where he wants to be. So I guess it suggests that they are confident in the options that they have at edge, because Isaiah Banya definitely is a guy that can rush the passer off the edge. I want to say he had 3 sacks last year against Nevada, and kind of thought that was maybe his coming out party. But by moving him to that weak side linebacker spot, you get a guy that is pretty darn athletic, that can move, that can tackle in space. He's 6'4", 225. I'm not comparing him to Leighton Vander Esch, but if you want kind of that longer guy that can move a little bit, maybe he's the answer. And again, I want to reiterate, I'm not comparing him to Leighton Vander Esch, but if you just want that 6'4", maybe longer body that can move a little bit, be a little versatile, can rush the passer, he might. I love the creativity here, BJ. They are trying to mix and match and get their best athletes, their best players on the field,
and they're doing that at safety as well. And that was a little bit of a surprise, I guess, because everybody's been talking about Skinner and Jones and this safety tandem they're going to have, and we find out that Tyreek Jones is going to slide down, at least in fall camp, to the nickel spot, and they're going to move Shea Oladipo and Rodney Robinson to compete at that safety spot. Here was Coach Avalos talking about that move.
Is Shea ready to kind of step up to the nickel and compete every day?
So we were talking about that. Ty Jones and a few of the younger guys are going to play nickel, and Shea's going to play field safety and compete with Rodney Robinson or field safety.
What kind of went into that, and kind of not having Shea more in the nickel spot and Ty back at safety?
Yeah, an opportunity in spring ball to be able to put Ty there and watch what happened. I mean, the offense was the biggest advocator of can we move Ty back to field safety, because this isn't working with him in nickel. So, just watching practice, and that's the cool thing about spring ball. Guys get to move around and play different positions, especially veteran guys like that actually helps some of the other guys get reps at maybe field safety. And it was like, okay, gotcha. Let's get a little more of this. Let's see what this looks like. And just deciding to make that move, overall. It's the same, with Banya. Those are the type of things that come out of spring. When you look at the overall picture and the strength of the defenses in the areas where we need to grow in the pivotal spots, we do have more depth now, so we can adjust guys around like that.
What does Ty Jones do that Tyreek makes him a fit as a nickel spot? What do you like about him?
Well, I mean, those guys are interchangeable a lot of the time anyway, the field safety and the nickel. They do a lot of the same things. So from the standpoint of the mental fit, he has a great understanding of a lot of things that nickel does, because he's in constant communication and when we switch them up. And he is an explosive player. We've seen that when he fills the alley from the high safety and his ability to tackle, obviously at that spot, as you guys can see, that position blitzes more. And those were some of the things that was cool to see him do during spring.
Well, you hear there, Jay, the decision behind the move. And again, that nickel position, the way Boise State uses it, it's not the same as the way some other teams use it. Boise State's really like somebody that can get in the box there if need be. And Tyreek Jones with his size, man. I mean, I know they liked what Shea Oladipo did. But, he was in the nickel some, but then I think they think, hey, if we can get Jones in the box a little more and try it, this shows they're pretty confident in Robinson and Oladipo at safety. Also means you have a guy like Jale Skinner back there. Maybe you can afford to have a younger, inexperienced guy next to him, and you put a guy like Jones now in his fifth, sixth year of college, trying to replace Kaniho at nickel. Now I think it's a new interesting wrinkle that I think I'm curious to see how it plays out.
Well, this more kind of fits the mold of what that nickel position originally kind of was about, right? Like when Winston Venable played that position. And I mean, Kaniho was so smart and so versatile. He played there, but he was smaller. Like he just was. I think Tyreek Jones is probably going to have 30, 40 pounds on a guy like Kala. And so maybe not 40, maybe 20 to 30. Either way, he's a bigger guy that I love his skill set. I think that's an awesome move. And now you get Shea Oladipo and Rodney Robinson potentially on the field a little bit more at their kind of natural positions. Those guys are quick, love the effort they play with. They're smart. I know that Avalos has highlighted the heart that Rodney Robinson has. If you watch him on special teams, this guy gets thrown around. There was one game last year where he had a duplicate number on special teams, so he had to put an 80 jersey over him, and it had to be loose because they had to get it over him quickly. I don't know if you remember this, BJ, but it was baggy, and he was playing gunner, and so they were grabbing him and throwing him around, and man, that dude was just unfazed, getting up and trying to finish off the play. So again, this just gets back to coaching staff getting a little creative, trying to get their best players on the field. This move particularly, I love. Like the Isaiah Banya move is still going to be a little bit of a wait and see, a little bit of a gamble, just because it's a new position, But for Tyreek Jones, he's going to mimic some of the stuff that he did last year, and I think this is going to be an awesome move.
Hey, quick shout out, Matt Bauscher Real Estate. Check him out, the number one ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley. No home is too big or too small. We appreciate Matt Bauscher, and so hopefully you'll consider him for your next home purchase. PlayTimberstone.com. Hopefully you'll consider them as well at Timberstone the next time you're looking to play a round of golf. Great greens. I'll try to get out there a day or two next week before fall camp starts, so hopefully I'll see some of you out there. PlayTimberstone.com. Book that tee time today, and again, we appreciate their support of Bronco Nation News. Ridley's Family Markets. Shop Ridleys.com. 13 Idaho locations. Check them out all across the state of Idaho. That CUNA location, frequent that one often. They got the at-home shopping, the Skip app, the home delivery. We appreciate Ridley's Family Markets. United Commercial Insurance as well. 44 states around the country. They can write business policy insurance. So if you own your business or to help deal with the insurance, Bronco Nation News is now a client. So check them out, UnitedCommercialInsurance.com. You will not be disappointed. Boise Dentistry Co. as well. Check them out. Locations across the Treasure Valley and full family dentistry and all the newest equipment. And they'll talk sports with you while you're in the dentist chair, though. So hopefully you'll go check out Dr. Miner and Boise Dentistry Co. like my family did. And we are happy that we did as well. It's kind of cool here, Jay. We see, Commissioner Thompson's walking by. Behind your shoulder, we can see Scott Matlock on your close-up shot doing an interview as well.
On my shoulder?
Where's he at? There he is. Somewhere Scott Matlock was over there doing an interview.
He was a dealer.
But Commissioner Thompson was walking by, and I was glad we were, either talking highly about him or not talking about him when he walks right by.
Yeah.
I mean, it is interesting. You see the coaches. I was in there for breakfast. You see some of the players and the different teams sitting there having breakfast together. I mean, it is a fun kind of see the way everybody kind of interacts together.
I wanted to add to something you brought up too, because I know there was some angst. After the last TV deal, Commissioner Thompson said that it's the last time they negotiate the deal, separately for Boise State, and I think this stuff, everything is so fluid right now in college football. I think that stuff's kind of off the table right now. Like, I don't want to definitively say that one way or the other, but you have other conferences that are potentially, weighing different revenue sharing for teams like maybe Clemson. I mean, they're the team in the ACC that always goes to the New Year's Six or the college football playoff, right? So do they deserve more than all the other teams in the league? Is that what keeps a team like Clemson in that league? So I think you're going to see things like that potentially moving forward, not just out there, but even in smaller conferences like the Mountain West. just kind of wait and see.
Andy Avalos, wanted to hear one more clip from him,
Yeah.
Jay. He was talking about the offense and was talking a lot about Hank Bachmeier, and I think we both agreed that it was much to do about nothing with the storyline about him not being here and not being on the preseason ballot. And he kind of didn't love the question, and I tweeted out my video on social media. That's not the one we're going to play, but we did ask him about that, and he said, yeah, I mean, he's not here because that's the policy, and he wasn't voted by the team as the captain, or at least I guess maybe he could be a captain, but he's not one of the highest leadership positions. The highest offensive player was John Ojukwu, and he said it was close, but he said that's why we took the 2 highest voted players, and that's why they're here. And he said about it, him not being on the ballot, he said, hey, it's the way we do it. It's how it's always been. He just kind of blew off the question like, no, it's not a big deal. And so he basically admitted there's nothing there. He's happy. He thinks Hank's in a good spot mentally going into year 2 with Plow. And there's going to be some pressure on Tim Plow this year, man. I mean, this is there's a lot of fans out there that are not Tim Plow guys. He didn't help himself when he came in and mentioned the half 100 thing. I know there's other meanings behind it and all that, but fans wanted them to score a lot of points, and they didn't last year. And so I think as we counted down last week with our off-season storylines, and I think we touched on Tim Plow. We've always talked about this offense, but they've got to get it going. And I think the whole Tim Plow Bachmeier relationship was a big talking point yesterday as well.
Yeah, and Andy, he touched on the Hank. I mean, we've heard this narrative pushed quite a bit that Hank has a lot on his plate. There are a few quarterbacks around the country that are calling protections at the line and stuff like that. But I think that they truly believe that Hank's got the hang of this now. Like he's grown, he understands it better, he can operate it faster, he can process information better and quicker. So I think that they have a lot of confidence in him right now. And let's look at this from a completely different angle, right? Hank has been a guy in the spotlight probably since he's been playing football. He's been the starting quarterback, in high school early, right out of the gate in college. Like, maybe removing him from a little bit of this isn't necessarily a bad thing for him. Focus on you, man. Like, and just take care of your business. And then once the season hits, we'll worry about the rest, But like, maybe it's kind of refreshing for him that he doesn't have to answer every single question or be the face of the program 24/7, although he still is the face of the program 24/7. But maybe it's just a different thing for him that's good for Hank.
Yeah. Well, let's hear from Andy Avalos talking about that, the Tim Plow and kind of going into this season and Hank and the offense and the fans wanting to see him score a lot of points and how he thinks that all is going to come together in year 2.
I think a big part of it too is, we've talked about this, and that's why it's such a huge emphasis in recruiting and overall program development it starts with the offensive line, and nothing against those guys. I mean, those guys battled, and we like the guys we have. There was just, a revolving door, at times, and it started with K. Connie early on in the year. The points per game scored in this conference. Football changes. Well, if we're talking about 10 years ago and how many points per game, well, the game's shorter now, okay? There's less plays in the game. So what that looks like and what we're referencing to in terms of the amount of points and all that stuff scored, looking at the conference stats and those things, the overall conference, the game's just shorter by, it's meant to be. So at the end of the day, it's about executing in the red zone, right? And if there's one area that we are going to make sure that, and we have throughout the course of the offseason, it's just creating the identity down there, finding our comfort. What do we do well? What are the things that we can continuously execute down there in the low red zone? Because we got down in there a lot. It's just turning some of those field goals now into touchdowns.
Well, we almost lost Jay Tust to going to get some breakfast here during
that.
At
9:30?
You got 3 minutes.
Okay.
Do you really want to run and get some? He's trying to get down there. Colin, go get him up. Can you get him a play, Colin? Come on.
Colin's doing everything. He doesn't need.
In fairness, it started at 7:32, so you could have come before.
Yeah, true.
You were dealing with getting kicked out of your hotel room, I guess. We, but it does seem like there's a lot of optimism that the Tim Plow, Hank Bachmeier relationship is going to go better in year 2.
A lot of exciting things going into this fall camp, and there is uncertainty on offense. Can Hank Bachmeier really take that next step? Can the offensive line, which seemingly is in a very good spot, really gel, come together, stay healthy, and provide, some continuity, some consistency for this offense? Can Steph Cobb step up and be that number one dynamic playmaker? Can Riley Smith continue his, great trajectory as a tight end? Can George Halani stay healthy? Like, there are more question marks around the offense than I would say defense right now, but that doesn't mean that you don't question their potential. Like, this offense could be very good if all of those questions are answered, but we're just kind of in a wait and see approach as far as that goes. But I think definitely eager to see Hank Bachmeier on day one of fall camp. Does he look healthy? Is he moving around good? Is Boise State going to stretch the field more this year? Because they didn't do it a ton last year. That might have had to do with Hank's health at times. So eager to see all of this stuff play out. And man, we are not that far away. About 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's camp's going to be here before we know it. We will. I'm going to read some comments and go for a little longer, but we'll let you try to see if you can hurry down there and get the last bit of breakfast.
Man, thanks. I'll see if I can grab you.
But you owe me 5 minutes on the next show, so we're going to we'll keep it going. But appreciate it, Jay, and thanks as always. Where can folks check out your coverage real quick? Same as yesterday.
KTVB.com, KTVB Plus.
We'll have the players and all that stuff. So appreciate it, sir.
Sounds good, buddy.
Yep, take care. There he is, Jay Tust, and appreciate him for coming on. And been a long morning for him. And there's Will Hall. We'll see if one of Will's last duties was helping him keep the food out for Jay, if we made it or not. But we'll get to some of the comments here as we continue our coverage. Back off on Colin. Oh, we love Colin. Come on. Hank has to have confidence to step up in the pocket when necessary. That's so on the O-line. Will, get over here for a second. We got to come say bye to Bronco Nation. Come on, Will. Come on. Get over here. Have a seat for a second. We're going to have 1 minute with Will Hall. Look at this. He's leaving. It's his last day. We got to get him on the show at least once. Will, how's it going, man?
I have gum in my mouth.
That's sorry. All right. That's all right. Sorry. To tell me, what's it like, man? Is today the official last day with KTVB?
No. Sunday is.
Okay.
Yeah. It is. It's starting to feel surreal, though. Jay and I were talking about today will probably be my last live shot on the road.
Wow.
Him and I together, 8 years, done about a bazillion of them. Oh man. Yeah, it is starting to feel a little surreal.
What, just tell folks about what you got going on and just your excitement level to get closer to family.
Yeah, the excitement level is, I should preface this by saying it's bittersweet, right? My wife and I are leaving a place that we love. Boise, people like you, so many people in the community that we love, a job that I love. But as you know, with my sister passing last fall, it just felt like it was tugging on my heart to get back closer to home. And so that's the big reason for this move. So it's bittersweet. We're excited to go back closer to my family. But at the same time, we're leaving people that we love like you.
Well, I appreciate that, man. Your check's in the mail. But just what are your thoughts on the sports scene in Boise and Boise State and your time here and some of your memories just the last 8 years covering this team?
Goodness gracious, where to begin? I think if you're part of Bronco Nation, though, you got to be so excited about the future under Jeremiah Dickey, Andy Avalos, Leon Rice. The list goes on and on. The future at Boise State is so bright. Really excited for this team this fall. I think they have huge potential. Schedule lines up. A lot of experience, a lot of talented experience returning this fall. If you're a fan of Boise State, you got to be fired up about the future and the direction of Boise State. In terms of memories over the last 8 years, you and I, man, we've seen it all. And we've been everywhere together. But, man, it's been a blast.
Favorite game that you covered or trip town you got to go visit for a game?
Okay. Favorite game? I mean, it's tough to beat the Fiesta Bowl in 2014.
Was that your first year?
Yeah, that was my first year.
Okay.
Yeah, yep. Tough to beat that. Just the stage, the game itself, the week down there in Arizona leading up to it. It was a blast. Favorite road trip in the Mountain West? I got to go Fort Collins, even though you and I. I was
thinking of that. Yes. Thank Black Friday, right? Was that Black Friday? We were both on a 6 a.m. flight. We tried to have Thanksgiving with our family, fly in the morning of the game, and that didn't turn out to be a good idea. I got to the game sooner than you did, though.
Yeah.
That was a disaster. We were
hours.
circling forever. We're circling. I think I told we happened to be sitting by each other, and I said we're not getting any lower. We're circling. Something's wrong here. And that was a very rough flight for the first hour anyway with turbulence and stuff. And then they diverted us south instead of north to Colorado Springs, and it was going to be a 3-hour plus drive in the snow or whatever up to Fort Collins. Yeah. You had stuff under the plane, I guess, so you couldn't get off.
I had the camera, the tripod.
They let me get off if I didn't have any checked bags, which luckily I didn't. So I rented a car there. I showed up right after like Jake Rowe or Collingham or somebody had scored a touchdown. I forget what year. The years are all going together, but it was right after Boise State had scored a touchdown in the middle of the first quarter. I see you down on the field like with 4 minutes left in the game, and you're like, yeah, I just got here.
Yep.
And oh, what a disaster. And then mine was even worse. I don't remember if you did this, but I had to fly back that night.
Oh,
I had to go turn around right after the game.
Driving in the snowstorm.
Yes.
Yes. I had a Ford Mustang, front wheel drive. Memorable experience.
Oh man, and that's kind of the fun of the job, though, right? It's stuff like that, and it's getting to see new cities and new towns, and we can. There's certainly better paying jobs out there, and there's certainly but in terms of there's certainly harder jobs too. We're not building houses or digging ditches or anything. I mean, we're able to get to go to sports games for a living, and it's pretty cool. I mean, that's getting to the potential to be back home and as a fan go see a Timberwolves game or go see a Twins game
or the Wild beat the Blues.
Well, you have to wait a while to see that, but what that's got to be pretty exciting too for you, because I've been spending some time back in St. Louis with my kids this summer and getting to go to a Cardinals game and stuff. I mean, you do miss we love Boise and it's our home now, at least for me, but it is there's nothing like being back in your hometown, man. It's got to be exciting for you.
There really isn't. The experience of going to those games, just being closer to family. Not to say there aren't so many family members that we consider in Boise that we didn't know when we first moved out there, but we'll always have family in Boise. And it's can't beat that experience. Going with Pops to a Wild game. Looking forward to doing that a little bit more frequently. So, yeah.
And final, what's Jay like to work with? I heard you said something in your when you wrote your kind of farewell letter. You said the best boss you could have or something. And I said something to my wife. I was like, yeah, I guess technically he is his boss, but you guys were always kind of working together, and it didn't seem like Jay probably treated you like you were below him or anything.
That's why he's the best. Yeah. And as good of a human being as he is, or as good of a coworker and boss as he is, he's an even better human being. And I think the biggest compliment, someone could say to me or Jay out and about in public would just be that it seems like you guys have a lot of fun together. And truth be told, it's because we do have a lot of fun. We have a natural chemistry that we've built over the years. It's been a lot of fun. We're going to miss him.
You got a lot of comments coming in wishing you luck. We got good luck, Will. You'll be missed. Someone said here, I'm going to miss that smile. Big Wade saying that. D-Rock saying Will's the best. Going to miss you, buddy. Kurt saying good luck, Will. And then, of course, which we get this every show, somebody chiming in, give me a heavy dose of Talon Green, please. So it always comes back to Talon Green. But we appreciate it, Will. Best of luck moving forward, man. It's been a pleasure to get to know you. I'll still razz you when Iowa State's playing Kansas, and we'll have some fun, man. But appreciate your time, man.
Thanks, BJ.
Yep. Best of luck with everything moving forward, and appreciate Will for stopping by and yeah, somebody says the Will Hall cameo there. Yeah, that is that was a first. Glad he stopped by. And you know what, Colin, when you're on live and there's peer pressure, you just say sit down, and they don't have much of a choice. So there's another tip for you. You just kind of put them on the spot. We did that with Jeff Goodman down at the Mountain West tournament. He was walking by getting ready for the game to start, and I said, "We're on live. You got a couple minutes?" And he said, "Sure." So we had some comments we wanted to look at. Again, thanks to all of our sponsors, RowPaints.com, the official paint and coating company of Boise State Athletics. If you need your garage, your back patio, any of that work done, check them out. They do phenomenal work. If you got oil stains in your garage, they can just put that new concrete coating over it. It's 4 times stronger than epoxy, and you'll be so happy you decided to do it. And they have the blue and orange colors as well, so check that out if you're a Boise State fan and want to get the blue and orange colors in your garage or your basement or something. So appreciate RowPaint.com for their support. Let's check some comments here. Zach saying people also had confidence in Andy Avalos when he was hired. Plenty of coaches have had long first seasons. Kirby Smart lost 5 in his first year. Saban lost 6. Not everything in his immediate turnaround. Totally agree with that. I think Andy Avalos made a lot of changes to some of the way he was doing things, and added some new coaches, and they got the whole culture turned around. That's kind of what I'm going to write about today. So I think there's a lot of reasons from that perspective to be excited. They're talking about the linebackers being able to cover. We got thought Noah played too heavy of a weight last year. Loved Riley, but he was a liability in space. Rudy talking about needing a consistent pass rush without having to blitz a linebacker. Looking for some more comments here. Jacob going back to realignment. I guess the longer realignment is prolonged, the more Boise has to keep upgrading their facilities. $65 million, by the way, that was dispersed by the conference. That is true. Someone Big Wade saying Tust needs tailored shirts. Circulation has got to be compromised in those guns. Yeah, he was. We don't know why he was actually late. I think he may have been. I think he may have been at the gym, Colin, getting an extra arm workout in before he came down. But we got players walking by. We're having a lot of fun. We're going to have John Ojukwu and Scott Matlock joining us live just after 11 o'clock or so. So it'll be, I think, 11:15 or something here in Las Vegas. So it'll be about noon, I believe. About noon in Boise. So check out our social media. We will tweet out the links. We're going to have one-on-one interviews with both John Ojukwu and Scott Matlock. That'll be coming up again around noon. It might be 12:10, 12:15. I got to check the schedule, but shortly after noon, we will have live interviews. If you have questions, please bring questions. Let's have some fun with these interviews. Bring some questions. We'll ask them live. I promise we'll take a lot of your questions. For both Scott Matlock and John Ojukwu. Please don't ask John Ojukwu about why Taylor Green should be starting over Hank Bachmeier. Let's not go there on this one, but appreciate everybody for checking this out. Appreciate Colin. We got a lot of social media clips we're putting out, so check our social media channels, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all that great stuff, and we'll be updating stuff throughout the day. And then again, we'll have live interviews coming back here at about noon with Scott Matlock and John Ojukwu. So appreciate everybody for checking out the show today. Hope you subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's the easiest way to get all of our stuff. And again, that Media Days special, just $52. You can get a full year subscription to the site, and all the exclusive content will be traveling on the road, home and road for all Boise State football and basketball games. So check us out, Bronco Nation News, BroncoNationNews.com. We appreciate it. And we will be back again shortly, in about an hour and a half, with John Ojukwu and Scott Matlock. So make sure to bring your questions and come back for that. And we'll talk to you soon. Bronco Nation News, live from the Mandalay Bay here in Las Vegas. Day 2 of Mountain West Media Days rolling on. We'll talk to you soon.
At ICCU, to make a difference, it takes just one connection. A friendly face, an open ear, a helping hand. And then something amazing happens. We find out that we're better together. This is what Idaho Central does in our communities every day. We help our members with the small things and big dreams. This is what believing in you is all about. Idaho Central Credit Union, looking after your daily balance.
Right now, Lithia Ford of Boise is buying used vehicles. How much you want for the SUV?
I don't know.
Well, Lithia Ford will give you more than that.
How much more?
More than you think.
I'm not thinking anything.
I'm thinking you might get even more than that. See how much more you can get at Lithia Ford of Boise.